5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ferry Corsten.
Welcome. We're doing a masterclass today with Ferry Corsten here. He's going to be showing us a new track off his, is it label or is it
It's on Flashover, my label. It's the latest track that's part of the Unity series. After basically 2 years of going nuts in the studio by myself over Goriella, doing the Blueprint album. What happens on the road with all the festivals, you just meet all the other DJs you always work with, and it's always like after a drink, like, dude, let's do a collab, right? Yeah, I'll call you next week. And it never happens because everyone's too busy with their own stuff. You know, I'm guilty as right here. Next time we see each other at the festival, we still have to do that collab, you know? Yeah, I'll call you next week. And same thing again. So after 2 years of solo stuff, I was like, you know what? It would be actually really cool to just follow up on these promises and actually devote a project to actually think in a united sort of way. You know, it's us together making music. It's us together as an audience and the producers / DJs who make that music and perform it, to enjoy it and try to push each other forward. Because if there's one thing that I've been noticing in many genres, is that it's very sort of, everyone's safe where they are, you know? It's like, okay, we do the other EDM drop again, put your fucking hands up and yay, you know, we have another smash. Trance is the same way, it's not any different. And I think by doing collaborations, you pull each other out of your comfort zone, right? Into another bubble that neither of you is used to, really. So, this one is the one that I recently did with Jordan Suckley. It's called Rosetta, named after the Rosetta Stone, of which they used to finally decipher ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. I'm a nerd, so I love that stuff like that. And
will this help us decipher ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs?
I think so, yeah.
Cool.
After here. I can play you a bit of the track, and maybe we can just analyze it a bit after that.
Perfect. When the piano came in, it kind of reminded me a little bit of your Goriella project as well.
Right, yeah.
I found it's like quite piano heavy.
Yeah, I think piano is just a really amazing instrument, you know, to be sort of like a carrier, you know. It's very constant. You know, I always like to think of like synths as like a massive string orchestra or something, you know, like they can just really belt it out if they bowed really heavy. That's really what you can do with synths, but the piano can use really steadily to run throughout, and it's very musical, you know. It gives the whole track a chic character, if you ask me.
In trance music, I think the most driving force behind trance music, and what makes trance music is the feelings that it evokes and the emotions that you feel when you listen to trance music. And when you make it, do you go into a track with that in mind, and you think, I want the audience to feel this kind of emotion?
Yeah, I always look for some sort of melancholy. Is that the right word? You know, like a
little bit sad,
like a sadness. You know, and I think a cool example of where you can find that, and how I use that sadness or the prettiness maybe against something ugly would be my track "Beautiful." You know, so you have the trance melody, but it's done with a distorted synth.
Yeah.
So it's the ugly versus the beauty.
I think with that track also, there's a lot of innocence in that track as well, because of the vocals.
Yeah, because they're really soft.
They're very soft,
and they're vocoded. So
well, obviously this track hasn't got vocals in it.
No, I got a piece of music from Jordan, enough basically to get things going. You know, you have to start somewhere. So he sent that to me. I worked with it for a little while, changed a few things here and there, and I built the production around it up to, like, let's say 80% of what this is. Send it back to him. We were not physically together, you know, which, you know, is a whole different way of working again, when you're actually with someone in the studio, you know, firing off each other. But this was cool, you know, sending stuff back and forth, and then he came up with all these little vocal bits, like.
He's really good at creating little kind of.
Yeah, he came up with this cool stuff, for example. Very atmospheric, but at the same time, and here as well, see, it's very atmospheric, but it's just enough for you to realize, like, oh, when you hear it, it's like, oh, that's that track. So he came up with some really cool, clever bits and pieces after that again. Yeah, we put it in a big tumble dryer, and there it is.
So is there like a part of your songwriting process, if you were doing this, say, for example, on your own, okay?
Yeah.
And you were coming out with a melody on your own, do you have any kind of tricks or something that helps you kickstart the process? Because I know for a lot of people out there, I know for me as well, like, and especially because in this music it's so important.
Yeah.
It's stuff like chords,
Yeah.
chord progressions and all that kind of stuff. It's important in all music, but especially so in trance.
I always try to keep my melodies really straightforward, simple, and you feel that the end is coming, and at the same time, when you're there, you feel that you're falling into the start again of the next cycle, basically. I always look for that. Yeah, like I said, and then I'm trying to look for that sad chord in there. You could have like a couple of really happy major chords and this and that, but then that one chord that just sends those goosebumps up your arm, you know, like, wow, okay, I didn't see that chord coming, and then back again. You know, the one moment I have it in an instant, and the next moment I'm sitting there for 2 days.
So were you trained in any way? Like, did you go to like a music college or something like that?
No. I basically started just playing around with like samplers and stuff when I was 16. That's when I started, and along the way I just picked up whatever I know now. I mean, at some point I felt like, okay, maybe I should just have like a bit of musical training, you know, because I just did whatever I thought felt right.
I think it's different for everybody as well. For some people work better with a set of rules,
Yeah,
and a set of guidelines.
absolutely, yeah.
The more I learn about that, the more I can use that and be creative.
Yeah.
You're the other type.
I'm the other type, well, but I also I find myself in situations like that where I really wish, like, damn, I wish I knew how to solve this problem right now, you know?
That's why all you guys are here.
So eventually I'll get there, but not from A to B. I'll probably go all the way around and have to change it slightly to get where I want to go.
So a little bit more about this project. Is this the final? Is it mixed?
This is the final, yeah. And I don't know if you ever seen that photo on Instagram floating around, like this cup. BT posted it once.
Yeah.
Where it said final, like the names that producers give to their tracks, like this and this track, final 1, final 2, oh fuck final, and whatever, you know, I guess, like, what is the real final? This is the real final, yeah.
Do you do the mixing and mastering yourself, or do you have like a mastering engineer?
I mix it myself. Yeah, let's say the pre-master. It's good enough for me to actually play it tonight out, you know, and I could actually stream it as well if I want to. But just to have that extra percent to make it 100%, I send it off to a mastering engineer that does the final you know. That type of mastering, the very end master, is a specialty on its own. Every track we release gets sent there.
Do you normally work in audio, or do you?
I always work in audio. As you can see here, I really like to keep my projects really clean. Obviously, I start off with MIDI, so you know, I start playing my stuff, whatever. First, of course, in MIDI, and once I feel like, okay, this is it, I bounce to audio. For me, in audio is almost final, and then, but there's like a half thing in between. It's not a stem yet, it's like an audio bit, and of that audio, I basically lock in the source, right? You know how you work with synths sometimes, you know, and all these oscillators go left and right all the time, and there's one note that you want to hit so hard, the next time round, the oscillators just work differently from each other and it doesn't hit so hard. So I try to lock in whatever I do. It's almost like comping vocals, but I do that with synths, I do it with bass, I do it with pads, I do it with everything. Everything you hear is completely comped. So that way I have full control over what I'm working with, and I don't have any surprises in the mix, like, shit, why is this note not hitting so hard? Like, probably something in my mix, you know, like, no, it's just, I know that it's a pounding hit that I was looking for, and I know it's always there next time I play it again. And then I add all my reverbs, delays, and the other effects onto the audio file.
Right.
So the audio file is dry.
That makes sense, because a lot of people I know would do everything in a MIDI and then finally bounce it down to audio, but then, like you're saying, you know, if you don't have re-trigger on a certain oscillator or something like that, it'll start in the middle of the wave.
And even if you have the re-trigger on oscillators, for example, silent is a good example, right? If you re-trigger them and you make them super wide, they sound like every note is phased. It becomes really repetitive, almost machine gun-ish, you know?
I don't think I've noticed that yet, but then now I'm going to go back to silent. I'm going, oh my God, he's right.
Yeah, put all the oscillators on 8 in unison, right? And then play around with the filter. It's just like you hear that. It's like a phaser.
Is there any go-to plugins that you use, like Simps and stuff like that? Like, what are your favorites?
My favorites, definitely in love with Omnisphere. I think it's great. I love Contact. I mean, you know, and I think you go through phases, right? I mean, I still use Nexus.
I love Nexus.
Don't boo me.
Nexus is great.
Yeah, it's great. You know, the bass line in this track is actually Nexus. But how do you use it? Do you use it straight out of the Nexus? Not me. I mean, I take it out of Nexus, dry notes again, get the hardest notes, comp it, make it a bass line, then I run it through, I don't know, Native Instruments guitar rig or something. Just add flavor to a very simple existing sound, and just by doing that, you already just step away from, you know, from a preset, really.
I think that's the beauty of Nexus as well, because it has so many different sounds and they all sound really, really good.
Yeah.
And it's all built in.
Yeah.
But then the thing is, with Nexus, they've all got like the delay turn on, all got the reverb turn on. And if you turn it off, then you got something completely different. You can just start, you can use that like a...
That's your dry source right there.
Exactly.
And then go from there and dress it up, you know, the way you want to do it. Another one, I don't know, I mentioned Contact. I mean, I'm in love with Contact. All the stuff that's out there, Spitfire Audio, Output, Heaviosity. I use a lot of that stuff. I think the big soaring lead that you hear in this project. Yeah, that's pretty much what I work with right now. Silent, Nexus for the real standard stuff.
One thing I really want to know is, what is your piano of choice? What's your favorite piano?
A good example is Anahera. The piano there is Maverick from Native Instruments. I think it's just a beautiful round piano. Spitfire Audio has some amazing pianos, but Oliver Arnold's Fell piano. They actually have Spitfire Audio Labs. And I just got this new plugin that I bought. This thing, Augmented Piano. It's for the UVI workstation. It's just a beautiful piano. You can do a lot. You can really just mellow it down or spice it up, and it comes with amazing presets. So this is one that I've been playing with recently a lot, actually.
How many of you guys have done collabs before? Hands up. Yeah, like most people here would have either done a collab or you've got collabs going on right now.
Yeah.
What are your tips to doing a good collab?
I think really the first thing is not to push your weight around. Do the other way around.
I'm Ferry Corsten.
No, like, oh, my idea has to be in here, you know. It's because that's a thing that can get in the way. Sometimes, you know, you have to just say okay, but constantly, feed off of each other. That's number one. That's why you do the collab. Learn, you see how the other guy works and thinks, and it's schooling as well at the same time as having fun and creating something beautiful together.
What are like the challenges that you normally face though? Like what kind of problems do you normally come across besides the fact that if you can't beat it in person, obviously, then there's always going to be that problem. And also, like with Jordan, he uses Logic, he uses Cubase.
Yeah, there's always the MIDI files in your audio, but it would be nice to say like, okay, here's the project, but then the other person has to have the same plugins that you're using in it as well. So collabing is always difficult if you work from two different spaces. If you collab with each other, send each other raw material. I've done collabs in the past, and even now, still today, and I get like a fully sidechained everything. I can't do anything with that. I have no more freedom. If I want to slightly change the sidechain or switch it off, I'm the type of person who likes when there's no kick, there's no sidechaining going on. That's old school thinking. But that's where it came from, and nowadays you hear like in the breakdowns, there's like wah, 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 all these pads are just doing that. No, you want this epicness going on, and you can't have that with like massive sidechaining going on and everything. So I would like to work with all that stuff off, send it in as a reference track. If the other guy wants to change something that I've done already, here's the reference, here's the dry track, do it. This is what I was trying to go for. But hey, go. Give it your own spin.
No, it makes sense because it kind of stops the creative process as well.
Because you're locked into that what you have, right? So it's it gives you still if you're definitely still in the middle of the whole process, then keep it as fresh and clean as possible. Really, towards the end when you both say like, okay, this sidechaining there is great, lock it in, go for it.
Who else is going to be part of your series?
BT is gonna be part of it. That's really fun as well. Like I said, Elan, Alpha 9, talking to Gareth, Marcus. That's it for now. But this is like an ongoing thing. I carved out this year for it, but I think this is just besides the Ferry stuff and Gorilla and whatever this is just going to continue next year as well because it's just fun to do. Yeah, and besides this whole thing, I saying like, okay, let's do these collabs so we can all learn from each other, we can enjoy it, and it's a cool thing towards the crowd. Like, oh, Ferry Corsten and Elan Blue sound together. How's that gonna sound? That's like the middle ground. Besides that, all these guys that I'm working with have their own amazing reach on social media, right? So. Besides that, since there's releases, there's shows that we're doing together, me plus someone else. Some of the proceeds are going to a charity organization called VH1, Save the Music. It's an American initiative to actually get music classes back into schools for kids again, which is cool. And what better to do than when you have that reach, right? Yeah,
no, that makes sense because I think one of the key features of doing a collab is because you get to leverage that fact that both of you guys have your own individual audiences, and then you get that kind of reach. I think for a lot of new artists, that's a great reason to do a collab. As a new artist, you might not have as many followers, but then you combine with someone else, all of a sudden you've got the power of both your audiences together.
Yeah. The next one on the series is Saad Ayoub, and he's a trance producer from Toronto, Canada. Been releasing stuff on our label, but he's an upcoming guy. He doesn't have that reach yet, but I feel like, okay, it's really cool to do a collab because he's an up and coming, fresh, different mindset. Let's see what happens.
You've had a lot of history of collabs as well, because obviously, I don't know if most of you guys know, but Gorilla was you and Tiesto.
Yeah, the first three releases was I did with Tiesto. The fourth, then he was like, you know what, I think I'm starting to enjoy like a different type of music. So that was his goodbye to trance.
And we all know how that went. Really well, apparently.
And so, did one myself. After that, number 4, that was the guy. And then my music started shifting as well to the more electro type of stuff with punk and rock your body rock and those tracks. Yeah, before I knew it was like 13 years ago,
And trance has made a resurgence. It's all from people that have kind of stepped away from trance, and then kind of everyone's coming back again. Yeah. Because you've got people like, firstly, you've got Artie, Alpha 9, you've got W&W as well.
Sander,
yeah, and then Sander Van Doorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very big resurgence lately.
Well, the reason, why I think why people step away, and it's really funny when you read all the social media and everyone's like, yeah, you do it for the money. Really, guys? Really, it's not for the money. For the money, I should have stayed with trance, because then that's what I was known for. So, and then I step away from the thing that I'm known for. Don't think that's a smart move when you think money, right? So, but not everyone seems to understand that. But the thing is, you're all creative people. You feel that after doing something for like the 50th time, you want to do something else. You want to just step away from that and just get into that what else is out there type of thing, and that is what I think that's what makes making music so much fun.
Have you ever collabed with an artist who's very obviously not trance? Or
Yeah, I've done a release with Bassjackers.
huh?
Yeah, and
How'd that go? Like, how's the process in making that? Like,
that was fun. I mean, also then again, people could say like, yeah, but you went to the EDM thing, that you don't like so much right now. Well, you did it. Well, yeah, I did, because I've always been curious. EDM, in the beginning when it came up, I thought the tuned kick drums and the harder, almost hardstyle influences were cool.
I still think it's cool. I think I personally, okay, I'm just putting it on the books, like on the record here.
Right.
I think it is the most fun music to hear at a festival. Like,
It's
you
powerful.
just kind of don't want to, you just want to don't want to think. You just want to feel like the kicks and stuff like that. And when there's a sound system out there that costs millions of dollars pumping tuned kick drums at you, you have to dance. So.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way though. But yeah, that's a good one. So when I was on my EDM experimental phase, I teamed up with Bassjackers, which was really a fun thing as well, because they came out of that world completely, and I was sort of like looking at it, and flirting with it, like what's going on there, So yeah,
That sounds
interesting to see how they think and how they worked, and yeah.
cool. Well, let's open up to the floor. Does anyone have any questions?
Okay, so first question regarding the genre hopping and everything. As a new artist, I experience it a lot of times that I want to do a future house track, or want to set my artist name to a future house, future bounce style genre. But then the next time I go in the studio, I want to do tech house, I want to do deep house. As a small artist, how do you manage that? Because if you change genre the entire time,
when you're trying to establish yourself, really pick one sound that where your heart is really, and that try to find that sound that really interests you, even though you have you shift yourself, you're still searching. I would try to find one sound that you can hold on to a little longer, and maybe create an alias or something to do the other thing, so you can let it out of your system. That's how I did it at the time, just come up with different names. When you feel you have a bit of traction, you could actually slowly steer away from doing the same thing over again. Not like instant, but just step by step. See if that's being accepted. It's really all like a balancing act, Like, okay, if I do this, how will that side react to it? It's like, okay, one step too far. Just go back again, and that's
Okay, so when you you're working with a new artist you've never worked with before, and say they're kind of producing a different genre to you, it's kind of unknown to you. When you first get into the studio, what's the first thing you do with that new artist?
Play each other music. Where's your head at? Literally.
What, that Basement Jack song?
Yeah, that song. I played that. No, just, okay, let's say I get to work with a guy from the techno scene. I know where their head is at, but really musically detailed, What's the type of music that you would have in mind for this? Where do we see common sort of, denominators, I guess, right? And then start playing music. Just if you decide to go for a bit more of a techie thing, you just put on a drum loop and just play with effects and get weird stuff out of whatever crazy software you have, and just start somewhere. That's the biggest obstacle, is to start somewhere. Doesn't matter what it is, just start somewhere, and from there you can just go, let's try something else. But at least you've started. Very often you go into the studio and with too much overthinking it already. So yeah.
Hi, I'm a trance producer, so into the trance scene at the moment. What would you like listening to? Who you're collaborating with? It's quite a range. What is it about trance music today? What about these current artists are you either looking for? What's making them stand out? Like, why Jordan Suckley? Why?
They each have like their own sort of little difference. You know, like how many records do you hear nowadays that are that have, with all respect to that sound, but have like an Egyptian name on it, and they all sound 140 BPM, plucky sounds, and it could all have come from the same guy in the end. I'm looking for, you know, the people that have their own sort of signature in a way. Elon has his own sound, Marcus has his own sound, BT has his own sound. So it's things like that. So trying to look for originality. Yeah.
Anyone else? Yep, down front.
Hey, thanks for sharing the track. It's interesting to see it arranged. I suppose as a new producer, the question would be whether or not you have an approach to arrangement specifically. I find sometimes you can get too tuned into things on 16ths and it becomes quite rigid. And you know, where going back to your point about the rules, do you feel that you can kind of break those a little bit?
I think you should break them. I mean, it's easy to say, you know, it's easier said than done, honestly, because I find myself very often also, I'm doing the same thing again, because, but I'm trying to encourage myself and other people around me to say like, hey, just what have you always done? So do exactly not that, you know. But in terms of arranging, I think it's definitely, where do you start? What do you arrange it for? Is it for Spotify or radio, or is it for the dance floor, right? In this case, of course, it's just a dance floor track. I mean, right here you see the Spotify so out of the stems of all the locked in sounds, I cut my Spotify edit basically without the beats, and in the beginning and the end is more like a, you know, you turn it on and it's like you get what you're going for. In terms of like the extended, yeah, it's made for the dance floor. It's made for DJs to play. So I'm, especially in trance, you know, we work with melodies, harmonies, chords, whatever. So ideally, I wouldn't want to be locked into a key already straight away with beat number one. It is here, but you know, if I play this, there's this bass line in the background, really like filtered out. But ideally, I would have kept that out. So you have a clean way of mixing in. There's no chords or melodies clashing with the other track, right? So, so I always try to really do that. Then bring in the bass line. So then, boom, you're locked into this is where I'm going musically. You know, build up, give a bit of a precursor of like the melody that's coming, like the big theme. There's this piano. See, it's a bit of a teaser. And then I'm basically saying like, okay, it's going to be a moving track by just modulating the bass line. And then, you know, here it's introducing the theme. And one thing I always try to do is, and you hear that so let's break this for a second. One thing I always try to do is to keep something rhythmic going, because very often you have these trance tracks and they're just like, for like 2 minutes you just strings. Wow, you know, I gotta be honest, with Flashover, when you get these demos, it's like, okay, you know what, we like this track, but cut, paste, you know, and maybe you can go back in the studio and just shorten this, because it's just, it takes forever. Or unless it's like something rhythmic under, or something interesting that keeps going. Like I said earlier, with the filtering, you can really become that orchestra with building that power, you know, and then open that synth up. But then instead of just giving it away all straight away, I'm just using a kick and a cymbal on it. Because by this moment, by this time, right, you haven't heard a kick for, I don't know, from here, pretty much till here, you haven't heard a kick. So the impact of that one kick is already like, whoa. And then, you know, after this part, we basically bring in the whole thing. And this is something I used to do back in the day already with the early trance tracks. It's like the plane has taken off. That's how I look at it right now. And then over here, this part is like we're descending again. You know, we're landing it nicely on its feet, and you know, and here comes the last part for the DJs to mix out. So that's basically how I look at the arrangement. There's still the bass line in there, so it's still locked in. Either the way I would do it, I would mix. This track is I believe it's in G, so I would mix into a track in G, you know, and then when I get to this point, or wherever, is there a bass? No, there's still a bass in there, but usually I would actually just filter the bass out already. So I'm just ending with dry beats. Yeah. Just make it really also for myself, make it dummy proof. Yeah.
Well, awesome. That's all the time we have for today, unfortunately. Thank you so much for coming in to Point Blank.
Thank you, man.